You know, today, before I headed off to work and before my mom headed off to work, I met her down in the hall because I was gonna go to brush my teeth. So I met her because she was like just done. So I met her in the hall, and I usually hug my mom before we leave, or like before I go to work and before she goes to work, like before we leave. But I don't think I've appreciated, the hugs and the value that a hug holds for a very long time. But today, I hugged my mom a little tighter. I held the hug for a little longer because hugs say a lot of words. Hugs speak a lot of emotions. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's, I don't know, like when you just look at it from the outside, it doesn't feel like that there's much to read into, but hugs speak a lot of emotions. For example, I used to live in Canada, you know what I'm saying? I used to have a lot of, or I still do. I still have a lot of good friends from Canada, but I don't talk to a lot of them as much as, I used to when I lived there. But I have this one friend. Um, she's a person that I knew since my first day of moving to Canada. And I met her, no, I met her on my second day, but it was her first day because she also moved there, but from a different school. Um, and so it was her first day, her first day and my second day. And I remember we had science or something, and this was in like 8th grade, and we were talking about Nemo or something, and I said that I said that Nemo means nothing in like Latin or something. I don't remember which language, but Nemo means nothing. And then I remember she started crying, and I was like, "Whoa, no, I don't know." I remember I just kind of like I was kind of shocked. I was like, "Why are you crying?" And then she said something like, "Because Nemo is my favorite character." And ever since I kind of met her for the first day, she's like been one of my best friends. She's definitely been like a big part of my life, and I feel like I'm taking that for granted. Because if someone were to reach out between me and her, it would probably be her, because I'm terrible at reaching out. I want to say that I'm trying to work on it and I'm trying to get better at reaching out, but honestly, I haven't done much of an effort. I haven't called my friend. I haven't messaged her in a while. I haven't updated any of my friends really about what happens in my life. And, I think it kind of stems from me thinking that people don't really care about my life or other people's lives in that case. But anyways, I've had this friend for a very long time. And the day I left to go back to Norway, where I'm originally from, um, she hugged me very tight. And she hugged me for very long. And that's not a feeling you really forget. And I think she wanted me to know that, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know. I'm like, the hug lasted very long, so I tried to like pull away a little, but she kind of kept on holding. So I was like, okay, I'll stay here I'll stay here for as long as it takes. Because this means something to her. And you know, I wasn't the biggest hugger back in the day, but I've learned to like it. I've learned to appreciate what it means to get a hug. Because not a lot of people get hugs even. And you know, it's very sad. It's insanely fucking sad. Because your role in this world and what you accomplish in life, half of it is a dice roll, and half of it is how you grow up. I think you can become something great even though you've had terrible parents and a terrible childhood. I think you can still accomplish something great if you really, I guess, put effort into it. But there will always be a wound if you've had bad parents. I'm not even gonna try to put myself in the footsteps of someone, you know, who's had a bad childhood and bad parents. And I'm not gonna try and pretend like I understand, because I don't. Because I've truly been like blessed with my childhood and kind of the parents I got and the people around me. And I'm not saying that to be like, yeah, I have such a good childhood and everyone else has such a bad childhood. I'm appreciating the fact that I, had a good childhood, and I'm saying that I can't really put myself in the shoes of people who's had a different experience, because I haven't experienced it, and I cannot understand that. So that's why I really shouldn't be talking about it, because I don't have the experience or really the validation to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But, let's get back on track. A hug speaks a lot of emotions. And I think I have a tendency to feel bad very quickly. Just for something small. If anything small happened, I would just feel bad, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, maybe it's just to the people I really care about. The people I care about, I'll quickly feel bad if something minor happens. Like one time, my parents were away on a trip to somewhere, and I was home alone, and they called me, and we kind of updated each other on what was going on. And then before I hung up, my mom said, "I love you," but I was way too quick with the buttons, so I kind of cut her off in the middle. I just heard, "Okay, and then I hung up, and I cut off my mom in the middle of, "and I love you." And I felt terrible. I was walking in circles for a couple hours because I didn't say it back, and I cut her off when she was gonna say it, and I don't know. It was a terrible feeling, and it just felt like she may have seen that as me not appreciating her kindness. Because, you know what I'm saying, my mom is very kind. She's definitely one of the most kind people I know. And, she's taught me all these things in the world and all these rules, kind of. And she's taught me that people react differently based on what you do. And, yeah, I don't know. She's taught me a lot. I think she's taught me the most about people and kind of social behavior and why people act like they do if something happens. Because one time in high school, it was gym class, and there was this one guy who I fucking hated. Not hated, but I disliked. I really, really disliked this guy. He was annoying, loud as hell, and just tried to be the coolest motherfucker ever. And it pissed me off. And also, one time when we were watching a movie in the school, he was behind me or something, and me and my friend, we were goofing around because we were next to each other. And then he grabbed the back of my hair and then slammed my head back onto like the railing of like the seat, and that hurt like a motherfucker. And dude, I wanted to get up and just, but I didn't throw hands with him that time. But this other time in gym class, me and my friends, we were goofing around, out of talking about something, and then he suddenly comes up and he pulls my pants down behind me. And it's like, but we're good friends and we're best friends, and it's okay because we joke around like that. No, we don't. So he pulled down my pants, and I was just pissed off already for some reason. I don't know why. I was just angry. It was the end of the day. I was exhausted. Then he comes and is a fucking piece of annoying shit. So I run after him, and I just like kind of throw him on the ground. And then he gets up and he starts giggling. He's like, ah. Did you guys see what he did? He threw me on the ground. I was just, why are you reacting this way? I'm so mad. I wanted to do more. I didn't do more. I'm not much of a violent person. You know what I'm saying? I tend to be pretty calm, and I don't lash out very often. I've done it a couple times, but that's just when I get really, really, really fed up, or really something really bothers me, I don't often lash out. But in that case, I was so like frustrated, and I just couldn't deal with his annoyingness at that time. But yeah, I kind of forgot where I was going with this story. I'm glad that time is over, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna lie, I do feel bad for the guy, because this is where I was going. I told my mom about it because I came home and I was really pissed off, and she noticed that. So she asked me what was wrong, or asked me what happened. So I told her, like, yeah, I'm just kind of mad and angry, frustrated, I guess, because this guy in school pulled down my pants, and then I had to throw him on the ground and cause a big scene. And I don't like doing that. I don't really like attention like that. But then she told me, well, he probably did this because he's insecure, and maybe because, there's some problems going on with him. Not in a mean way, you know what I'm saying? You can say things like that and it just be logical, rather than people being like, why are you judging? But it's not judging, it's talking about it in a logical way. She's told me that multiple times. You don't know what, our lives are different. You don't know how they were raised. So you can't always expect people to react in the same way as you would. So yeah. That was kind of the stories I wanted to talk about today. You know what I'm saying? The next time your mom hugs you, hug her a little tighter. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that when my mom hugs me, I think she means it every time. But yeah, that's all for today, guys. Goodbye.